What's up? It's Matchstick. As a writer, you may have wondered if you are, or if you would be, wasting time writing fan fiction versus working on writing that is completely your own. I know when I was writing fanfic, that was a major concern of mine. My heaviest fanfiction year was 2011, which was 15 years ago, and I haven't written much of it since, so take that for what it is. However, I wanted to talk about this issue because it was definitely a constant thought I was having when I was in that groove. First things first, if you're currently writing fanfiction and have any thoughts on this video, definitely comment because I know this isn't going to be everyone's opinion. Okay, let's start with the definition. What is fanfiction? To me, it means writing prose that takes characters from pre-existing narrative art, characters that are not your own, and puts them in scenarios and stories that you're making up yourself. I've seen the term fanfiction applied to stuff that's reality-based, and that is definitely not what I'm talking about. Another definition would be what they allow to post on big fanfiction websites. When I was writing fanfic, the main website was fanfiction.net, but it looks like that one's deteriorated a lot. Today the site seems to be archiveofourown.org, which I'll link to in the description. These sites have heavy categorization areas to make finding the stories readers want easier, and will even help writers if they get sued for writing properties that can't legally be distributed, such as fanfic based on the works of Anne Rice. Now, I know there has been some fanfiction that has successfully, let's say, transcended fanfic and become successful writing that stands alone. It's also true that, extremely rarely, authors have been plucked from their websites to join the professional writing game for a property. However, those situations are so rare, they're just not going to happen. For the purposes of this video, fanfiction is never going to pay off. It's written by people that love a franchise and want to play in that sandbox for the fun of it, and who share those stories with the knowledge that they'll never be able to make money off them. For the purposes of this video, any fanfic story is inherently a dead end. When it's put like that, the logical question in modern society is, why would anyone sane do it? In writing terms, however, the lure of fanfiction is very clear. It's storytelling where you don't need to provide any backstory. No X-Men fan needs to be told who Magneto is, so if you write a fanfic involving him, boom, you have a full character who's been fleshed out in hundreds of stories you didn't write. This allows the writer to basically hit the ground running. Writing fanfiction is fun because it's all the exhilarating parts of writing. Characters interacting, dynamics being explored, and connections, including, yes, romantic connections, happening that you've never seen happen before in a franchise. It's all gas pedal and no driving school. As someone who has created worlds and written multiple stories involving several of them, I can reveal the gigantic secret that world creation is hard. Sure, there are fun parts, but overall it sucks, and it takes a lot of time. For me, any setting needs a long time to percolate. Making a two-dimensional background of a city is one thing, but figuring out the logistics of a place and getting it to function anything like a Middle-earth or Gotham City is gnarly. And that's not even getting into characters, fuck. The only thing I'll say about creating characters is that making them unique is really, really hard, and making up someone people would want to write fanfic with, you can only hope. However, there's another side to fanfiction. For me, writing Batman fanfic kind of saved my life. I'm not going into it, but I was in a really bad place, the type of situation people do not come back from. However, after some good luck, several angel interventions, and cutting a lot of people out of my life, I got a rare new start around 2011, and I was bored. I distinctly remember when I had the inspiration for the first fanfic story I wrote because the story's funny. I was in a bad traffic jam and I had an amazing idea. I found some paper but couldn't find a pen, so I jumped out of the car, ran up to the person in back of me and borrowed one. That idea was for a story involving the Riddler. I spent a ton of my time that year writing Batman stuff. I know my story is unique, but many fanfic writers may have similarly unique stories. I more just wrote than got involved with fanfiction communities, but basically all you have to do to make friends on those sites is watch something, wonder what would happen if this character did that, write your idea out, and post it. From there, you usually get people commenting on it in various levels of helpfulness, and it gets bigger from there. So if you're laid up or hurting, I recommend that aspect of it even beyond the writing exercise part. And that's most of what fanfiction is at the end of the day, a writing exercise, and it's a damn good one. I stopped writing fanfiction because I wanted to focus on building my own stuff, and I was kicking myself for spending all that time writing stuff I couldn't publish. But I was missing the point. I'm not going to plug my stuff, but I don't think I would have written any of it if I hadn't started out writing Batman fanfic. That's because even if you write something dumb, you're writing. It's easy to stare at a blank page when you're trying to dive into the deep end and write an epic from scratch. Write fanfiction and you're basically using bumper lanes. You can't make a bad character because they're not your characters. You get all the tools and get to do the fun stuff. And that's an awesome thing. But there's another reason why writing fanfic isn't a waste of time, and that is that if you do quote-unquote graduate and start building your own worlds, you can use the stuff you wrote in fanfiction in your new stuff. That Riddler story from the traffic jam had something in it that I used in my most recent novel 15 years later. If you can't tell, my answer to should you write fanfic is absolutely. Until you learn how to ride a bike, you need training wheels of some type, and writing fanfic is a stellar pair of training wheels. If you end up just doing it as a hobby, you're still going to enjoy yourself. And if you want to become a writer coming up with your own creations, let me put it this way. In writing, to really get into it and get the big narrative payoffs, you need to experience some of those payoffs first at lower stakes. Why do I take all the time to build worlds from scratch? It's to play in that sandbox, the same way fanfic writers play in other people's sandboxes. And you get a glimpse of how fun that process is by skipping a lot of it and getting to the good parts. So, should you write fanfiction? After writing this video, I've convinced myself that everyone should. It certainly can't hurt. Please like the video if you got here, and don't be scared to subscribe. But what about you? Do you write fanfic? Do you disagree with anything in the video? I'm Matchstick, and you can find out more about me via the link in the description later on.